There are now more than 120,000 cases of the disease in the United States alone, and in that country, over 2,200 people have died. Today, the top infectious diseases expert in the U.S. gave a pretty grim prediction of what's to come, and our Katie Simpson has that story from Washington.
For the very first time, Americans are being given a broad projection of just how bad things could get in this country. Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is arguably the most respected member of the White House coronavirus task force, he was on CNN this morning and offered a sobering assessment.
Looking at what we're seeing now, I would say between 100 and 200,000 cases, but I don't want to be held to that because it's deaths. I mean, we're going to have millions of cases, but I just don't think that we really need to make a projection when it's such a moving target.
Dr. Fauci went on to say that the only way he would be comfortable with easing some of those physical distancing and social distancing restrictions in the United States right now is when widespread testing, rapid testing is available. When people can go to a facility and get results within 15 minutes to an hour rather than what's taking place right now, where many Americans are being tested and it takes days to get a result. He says healthcare professionals on the ground need an accurate assessment of what they're actually dealing with. And until that kind of technology is available and that kind of testing is ready to go, he does not want to see any sort of easing of those guidelines that have been issued by the White House. President Donald Trump had floated the idea of a quarantine order for the states of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, where the spread is moving quite rapidly. It turns out that the governor of Florida had pressured the White House to get that in place out of concern that people traveling specifically from New York to Florida could bring the illness with them. However, after some intense discussion at the White House, they opted to go with another plan. The Centers for Disease Control issued a warning, a travel warning, urging people in those 3 states to avoid any unnecessary domestic travel. It's different than a quarantine order, but again, it gets the message home that Americans are being told not to travel, especially if they're from any of these states where the infection rate is much higher than other parts of the country. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.